Yo, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to episode 35 of the Casual Weebs podcast. Dude, I am hyped. Another phenomenal week to talk about. Listen, we are going to be talking about this week's episode of Blue Lock, of course, but mainly also the movie. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, skip that part. But I feel like this week's episode and the movie are perfectly kind of tied together, and I think it's going to be great to talk about. I have some hot takes about it. Might get myself into some hot water here, but listen, DanDaDan was fucking amazing. We're gonna be talking about that. That was so funny. Blue Box, oh my god, Blue Miburo, insane, and Yakuza Fiance. I mean, they're all just so good. I can't wait to get into them, talk more about them. Video coming out later this week. We are doing another tier list. Last time we made one, we pissed some people off. We probably aren't gonna do that this time, but we might. We're gonna be doing a Naruto tier list. It's gonna be awesome. Rating the characters. It's gonna be a fun time. So keep a lookout for that. But I cannot wait to talk about these episodes from this week. They were absolutely amazing. Which one do you want to start with?
Do you want to jump right into Blue Lock, or do you want to start with DanDaDan?
I want to start DanDaDan.
Dude, it's
100%.
so good, so good.
It was absolutely amazing, bro. The absolute. Okay, listen. I'm kind of like skipping part of it here because like. Dude, it's so hard because the first part of the episode was the fight, and the fight had so many funny moments. It had so many great things about it. But then there's the part afterwards where it was just really funny with Momo's grandma. So many of
Yeah.
that. Dude, I even had the one quote, like, you're way too bitchy for a guy. You sure you got your dick back? He's like, yo, like, let me see. Like, let me just make sure. And he's like, no. Like, I'm fine, Momo, get your grandma. And the grandma's
Need some evidence.
the grandma's chasing him around the house. Like, hey, show me. I think she even said, like, you're watching the subbed, right?
Yes, yeah.
I'm watching the dubbed, and like it's kind of like I don't know. You might have to watch it just because of the phrasing. But like when she said that, like you're way too bitchy for a guy. Like she's like, let me see your peen. Like let me see that. Show me your wiener, bro. And like the phrases that they keep using and like the words they're using is just so funny and it just has me. I can't believe they say it half the time. I'm like, wait, what the fuck did they just say, dude? It catches me off guard and I'm dying every single time.
Dude, it's so good too, and it like kind of keeps like that comedic element in there.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's so many phrases that like I literally used to say this as like a kid, like "let me suckle vine teat." Like that's literally what Turbo Granny says, and then fucking Ken goes after it and says it. It was like it's like it's comedy, but it's so well done. I love it.
Bro,
The
that
scene with Momo's grandma was hysterical.
and then you have that they kind of double downs on it because after that cutscene at the end, I think, he's like, oh my god, like where's my balls? And she's like, you're missing your balls. You should just let me see your dick. Like you should have just showed me.
I told you.
You gotta love the "I told you so" at the end. That's gonna be an interesting episode next week, that's for sure. But dude, very comedic at the end there. But that fight was pretty damn awesome. Like, goddamn, that really dragged on. That was insane.
I thought it was going to be like the entire episode, but I feel like they did an awesome job of like keeping it pretty realistic. Like they haven't really mastered any of their abilities or powers yet.
Mm-hmm.
They're still very like novice. And I felt like it was done well to like keep that element of their, they're kind of noobs at all this and they really don't know what's going on completely, but they still managed to pull off something sick and like realistic at the same time as far as, possessions and psychic powers go.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's a couple of times you're wondering, like, if they're not going to be able to make it out because, like, they had a lot going against them. Like, you can really feel that she had, like, the power of the god of that area, like, on her side because she was just able to use some, like, OP shit to try to get them. But I was crying at the beginning of the fight when she's like, all right, give us 10 minutes, right? And they're like, all right, let's just start running. Like, that was a great idea. Maybe I should have done more than 10 minutes. I don't know if we're going to make it. And then she starts counting 5 minutes. 6 minutes? What the fuck? Why is she counting like that? 7 minutes?
Like, he didn't specify on how to count. And he's like, oh, that's cheating. He's like, no, it's not. You just didn't specify the rule. It's like, damn, Turbo Granny's still sharp.
Bro, that had me dying. And I don't know why. It's like such a little shit like that. Like when like a little when Bo was like, yo, why is she counting like that? That shit had me like in tears. Like I was just crying. I was like, dude, that's so funny. But then you also realize that she's counting in like more so like 10 seconds, but 6 minutes, 7 minutes.
So good.
It's like, dude, this anime really is just so fucking funny. It really is like another like Kaiju 8 where it's just like so incredibly goofy and funny. Has some just incredible moments, amazing characters, but also like a really good story as well. So like I'm just like super excited for more. It really just seems amazing. I want to know if he's gonna be able to keep his powers though, because how's that gonna work?
The only thing that like I was like kind of surprised. I'm like, all right, well they defeated Turbo Granny and like he got
Hmm.
his weenie back, but like that can't be the end of the story, right? We're only 4 episodes in. But then when
Yeah.
he's like, oh, I don't have my nuts, it's like I still figured he's like possessed in a way, and there's some kind of criteria that they didn't meet, or something like that, or something more is going on there. So like, yeah, I think he will keep her powers. But we still don't really know too much. You know what I mean? They haven't really given us a lot of lore yet. It's still super early, but I feel like we're kind of in the same boat with like Momo and Ken, where we really don't know a lot, and we're just kind of, taking it one step at a time with them.
Yeah, because like his like other form, you know, that's his form. Like that's not going away. Like that's him. You know what I mean? But that's only from her powers. So yeah, like even though she's gone, even though she's apparently dead, you know, there has to be like a remnants or something of it still in Ken, and that could explain why his balls are gone. But I can't wait for the next episode to kind of get that explanation. Also, we have the beginning where it's kind of like serious. We have the fight scene, we have the action, we have some comedy. Then it's just a ton of comedy, right? He's biting tits in the fight. That was fucking hilarious. When he went and gave her a taste of her medicine, like, oh, you bite on what actually called dongs. You know, I'm gonna bite teats, dude. Again, it's the phrasing, it's
Slang,
the
dude.
words. Yes, it's so
So good.
good.
And I
Um,
guess it's like that in the manga too. Like they
mhm.
use like pretty funny slang phrases in the manga too, which I find hysterical.
Dude,
Love it.
it for some reason just makes it better. I don't know why. It's like I guess very childish, like of us to be like, oh, yeah, she's a peen.
Dude, target audience reached and like weenie.
Yeah, it's so true though.
It really is.
But then we have like the funniness afterwards. But then we had that little end scene where it was like, oh shit, like that was like really sad, but also like wholesome as fuck when they both. It's the Momo part of it too, where she thought the same thing, like, hey, like fuck, was that goodbye? I thought the same thing. The second Ken said goodbye like that, I was like, goodbye. Like, what do you mean? I guess it's just goodbye. Like, where the fuck you going? You riding off in the sunset? Like, you're gonna this isn't the end of the anime. Like, what the fuck? And then it was so cool that then like Momo kind of realized that too. She's like, goodbye. Like, is this it? And he was like, wait, is this? You know what I mean? And they had that cute little moment where she was like, hey, I'll see you at school tomorrow. And he's like, yeah, of course. So like, I thought that was like such a nice little touch where they kind of came back down to earth. You know what I mean? And had that like wholesome, real moment.
Yeah, and it kind of showed that like they've really bonded, and even though they like clash, you know what I mean? They're
Hmm.
they're still friends, and like they may be like awkward high school kids and like different, from different walks of life, if you will, but like they still really did bond and get along through this insane, experience through these 4 episodes. That was my favorite part of the episode too. And like since I'm watching the sub, like again, I don't know Japanese, but know a little bit. Like the way he said goodbye was like goodbye, not see you later or I'll catch
Yeah.
you next time. It was like goodbye. And that whole scene where he's just walking and like, yeah, goodbye. Like, wow, this is really goodbye. It was like so nice to see Momo be like, yeah, I'll see you at school tomorrow.
Well,
Like, definitely just made the episode for me.
yeah, especially like Momo's side of it because Ken, of course, is the insecure one. You know, he had already brought that up before. He's like, "Oh, is this it? We're after this. It's just gonna be like we're done. You know, we're not friends anymore." It's like, "No, you're not getting rid of me that quick." You know what I mean? It's kind of nice to see her have that insecure side where she's like, "Wait, are we not gonna be friends?" You know what I mean? Like it shows that she really cares. And, like we know she cares, but like now it's in like a serious sense, which was just like kind of sweet to see. Like, dude, this anime's really got it all. And like animes like this are like really hard to do because again, it's like kind of like Kaiju 8 where it's like you have like these very like wholesome down to earth moments. You have these like a serious story, but at the same time, just such comedy. You know, you're able to just make light of such a tough situation, and it's just like, yo, like it is such a great blend, and I absolutely am addicted to this anime. Like it is each week more and more becoming one of my favorites.
I'm really glad it's like delivering on the hype. And then obviously like the source material is cool. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
like a few manga panels and like obviously the artist is really good or the author, great story, and like some of the elements that you touched on. It's like kind of hard to have like good comedic relief that's not tacky when your show is like very shonen like, it's focusing on fights and like, good versus evil or whatever. But then at the same time, like I've seen that they've added like a lot of like anime only kind of scenes and moments, which is really cool too, because it makes you feel like you're getting a different experience if you'd already read it. So I think it's done super well. It's definitely delivered on the hype, and yeah, a little awkward first episode, but like I'm so glad I wouldn't have like dropped it. You know what I mean? I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen some goofy stuff, but like definitely has delivered since then, and like I agree. I definitely think it's one of the better animes of the year, and like just the elements of like when Turbo Granny, like they kind of explain her lore a little bit, right? How
Hmm.
she was like kind of looking after girls who were taken
You feel
advantage
bad
of,
for
and
her.
yeah, and it's like, oh man, I was not familiar with your game, Turbo Granny. I take
Yeah.
it back. Like
Like
that was
respect.
it was yeah, it was really cool to get that from Momo's grandma. But then like I had seen, I forget where, on Reddit or Instagram or something, um, when he first gets possessed by Turbo Granny, she climbs through the phone to get Momo, to save Momo, because she's getting taken advantage of and she's in a sticky situation.
Hmm.
And it was like little things like that, like you might not recognize on your first watch through or unless somebody points it out. But I was like, yo, that's really super cool. And like there's a bunch of other little Easter eggs that people had picked up on that I didn't. Like Momo dancing, that whole scene with them dancing in the opening, fire
Yeah,
song by the way.
it
That whole
is.
scene is like a Rihanna dance, and it's like the exact same thing she does that Momo does. I'm like, I would never pick up on that, but just seeing that or reading that, I'm like, that's cool. You know what I mean? It shows like the effort they've put into it, and it really reflects like an outstanding product, even just 4 episodes in.
Dude, I didn't even realize that. Yeah, Turbo Granny came in to save Momo because that's the exact situation that like most girls would had in that underpass or like that tunnel. That's actually crazy. But the problem is that it's the way that they did that scene where it's like you made it super uncomfortable, but then try to make it funny, which just made it super cringy and awkward. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like you made the first episode good enough to maybe look past that and to give it a second chance on episode two. And now it's like, oh great, this anime is awesome. But like that's something that a lot of people even said too is that like it's rated like M and like the manga was rated whatever for like the longest time because of episode one and episode one alone. I wish that they did less of that in episode one to make it more appealing of like an intro, you know what I mean, or an easier entrance into the anime. Because again, it's like it's a really fucking good anime, but like there's some people who I wouldn't fucking recommend this anime to because I don't think that they'd give it that second episode after seeing that in the episode one. But like that's what makes it so glad that you're like, okay, it has a lot of hype, it has a hype for a reason, you know what I mean, let's give it an episode two. Oh, this is pretty good. In episode three, okay, this is a phenomenal anime. You know what I mean? So I think it's an absolute incredible anime. I cannot wait to see what they do as we progress throughout the season. But it's gonna be fucking incredible. I don't know if we talked about this, by the way. Like we should bring this up. We were freaking out because we saw that DanDaDan and Blue Box are getting like 21, 24 episode seasons. So let's fucking go. I mean, we talk about this all the time on the podcast where we're like, oh, Kaiju 8, Windbreaker, Wistoria, any of these animes getting, that 24 episode season. And we're like, but, we're getting greedy. We don't want to be selfish. Okay, we've been
Yeah.
let down every fucking time this year except for these two. And you know what? In all honesty, if I can pick two animes to get the extended seasons, the two-part seasons, it is these two animes. Although I would want Kaiju 8 to be one. If it was between two out of those three, it would be a very tough decision. But the fact that DanDaDan and Blue Box are getting them, that is amazing because I would rather have DanDaDan and Blue Box get extended seasons instead of Wistoria or Windbreaker, in my opinion, if I'm being honest. But I'm glad that we ended up getting it where it counts. You know what I mean?
It our greed paid
Yeah, yeah.
in
Let's go.
full. I was super excited because part of me, like obviously as an anime fan, I want to see more of it, and it feels like you're getting a season two straight up front on the
Mhm.
premiere, which is really cool. But also, I feel like it makes like the fandom and the community attached to it a little bit more because you're with it for a few
Longer.
months rather than just like 12 weeks or 13 weeks or whatever. DanDaDan's going to be huge. I think it's really going to be like a bigger commercial success. And Blue Box is already like really big. I know it's on Shonen Jump and stuff, but like I was super glad that we get 24 episodes because I think it'll really blow up and it'll kind of like I know Jujutsu Kaisen did that, and I don't know. I feel like it just creates like a deeper bond with that anime when you get so much of it for, or maybe not so much of it, but for an extended period of time. And I'm not the guy animating it or slaving away working on storyboards and stuff like that, but very much appreciated, and thank you for recognizing our greed and paying us in full.
Yo, and that's what I really can't wait for is that like we've been like really lucky with like the first several episodes being this good. It kind of makes me think like, yo, how are they even gonna do this for 12 episodes? This like insane amount of like incredible anime, and now we're gonna be getting 24. Like I cannot wait to see what is gonna progress and happen in DanDaDan and also in Blue Box because like I mean, we're already, I feel like, speeding, like, through it. It feels like we're getting so much information, and it's just, like, so enjoyable, and it seems like these episodes are 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So the fact that we're
Yeah.
not just getting 12, but we're getting, like 2-part season is absolutely insane, and I'm so excited for it because, I mean, dude, the amount of story we're gonna get is gonna be absolutely incredible. They're, like, they're going all in on these animes. They're like, we know you're gonna get hooked, so we're gonna give you the full fucking dose. Enjoy. And I'm all for it.
Works perfectly. Well done. Thank you.
Let's go, boys. No, but like absolutely, I cannot wait. And you know what? I can't wait for a couple more episodes to come out because I actually am gonna recommend DanDaDan to a friend or two and kind of be like, yo, listen, like just trust. Give it the 3 episodes. You will not be disappointed. Like it's worth.
I always think if like, I mean, we're like degenerate anime fans. We've seen all types of genres and, ecchi scenes and harems and this and that. But
Binge
like
two
if
whole
you're
animes this weekend.
right, yeah, man of culture. But like if you're a casual fan or like you're trying to recommend somebody who's like only moderately into it, which is totally fine, like I'm always like hesitant because some of those scenes are like super off-putting to people who don't,
Hmm.
know the drill, so to speak. And I guess that's maybe not the right way to put it, but like, if you've watched Rent a Girlfriend or, some other etchy comedy or whatever, like, you can look past something like that. But yeah, I'm definitely glad they kind of skirted away from that. And hopefully it doesn't bother people too much. But I feel like if you have enough, 5, 6, 7 episodes, you'll forget about the goofy part in anticipation of the rest of the story. I'm gonna say, just wait till we get to the nurse and Miss Servant.
Wait, the nurse and Miss Servant.
Oh,
Wait, I didn't watch Miss Servant this week. There's a nurse?
I'll you enjoy, my friend. You enjoy.
Because I had fucking jury duty, so I couldn't watch that shit. I
Oh,
wanted.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
wanted.
my first thought was like, yeah, Jake will love this. This is great.
There was a nurse in Miss Servant, and I missed it?
That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Boys, brothers, I'm doing my civic duty out here, and I'm fucking paying for it.
You blame the country. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, fucking America.
It's so good.
This place sucks. Can you imagine I watched it while I was waiting with all the
No,
other
you're
jurors? I had like 300 people in the room, and I'm watching.
you just like go to like the guy or the man or woman next to you and you're like, yo, yeah, that nurse, man, right? Am I right or am I wrong?
Dude, you know what? I feel like I should have done that. I feel like I missed out like big time on multiple levels here. It's fucking crazy.
That's the power
Um,
play.
but anyways, moving on from DanDaDan, I mean Blue Box. Let's get into that.
Ooh, super good, man. I feel like Blue Box feels like it's really heating up, and like we had just touched on that it's got 24, 23, 4, 5 episodes, something like that.
Mhm.
There's a lot of content there, so I feel like we'll really be able to get to the crux of like these relationships and kind of see not just like one season, but two of them, chasing after nationals, playing basketball, these badminton matches, the relationships between the second and first year students. That's got me really excited, and I feel like you can kind of connect with the story a little bit more when you have that much material to watch up front.
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible. I mean, this again episode was phenomenal because they check on every goddamn box. You know what I mean? The very beginning had me crying when he accidentally took her uniform and he ends up going to that AV room or whatever, and the gymnastics girl's there, and he drops it and she goes to pick it up. He's like, no, 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 don't touch it. And she's like, oh, you don't want me to touch it? And he's like, it's not washed. She's like, so? And he's like, I haven't watched it since middle school. And she's like, and then she's like,
Disgusting.
but wait, you're wearing it? He's like, yeah, I wear it unwashed. And she's like, and she just backs up. She's like, get the fuck out of my face. Leave. leave.
Okay.
And he's like,
Okay.
yeah. Like, bro, just torched that friendship. Because now he looks like such a fucking disgusting bro. Like, but you gotta imagine. Remember how hard he goes in Batman wearing that thing? So imagine what she thinks. We know it's washed, but imagine him going ham, fucking drenching that shit every fucking day, and not washing it for what, a year? You know what I mean? 2 years? Like, that. Oh, yeah, she probably thinks he's, like, absolutely an abomination.
I don't know if your school was like this, but my school definitely was. There were kids that did not wash their gym
Oh,
uniforms.
yeah, yeah.
Musty. It smelled like Elmer's glue, like weird musk. So like I could, as soon as he said that, I'm like, first off, Pikey, excellent thinking on your feet, very fast, very sharp. You know, lose some aura with that excuse, but well
You
done.
lose a
You know
lot
what I
of
mean?
aura with that excuse. Like, he.
And I'm thinking of like all the kids. I'm like, yeah, I remember what an unwashed gym uniform smells like. That's rough.
Yeah, like, that's a tough grenade to jump on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, dare I say,
perfect.
lethal. You have the super popular, super admired gymnastics girl into you. You just botched that. Eh, but it's
He's lucky
alright.
they're friends in the first place.
Yeah,
Saving
yeah.
grace there.
Like, it. I remember. Like, did she even talk to him after that in the episode, or she just avoided him?
I'm pretty sure she does, because like she comes up and asks him a question when he's with Haru leaving, I think, and he's like, "Oh yeah, would you like? Oh yeah, your friend?" And he was like, "No, never."
Oh wait, no. Yeah, she was on the balcony thing. She screamed down to him.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
Haru's like,
yeah.
"Oh yeah," and he's like, "No, never."
Yeah, Haru didn't even ask the question. He just like, you, and he's like, no, like, shut the fuck up.
And Haru's reaction was really good too. He was just like, "Oh, okay, I see how it is." Like, all
Oh,
right.
oh my god! Speaking of Haru, earlier in that episode when Taki's like running around the halls and he runs into him, he's like, "You're ignoring me? Like, what's
In his
going
face, he
on here?"
gets he gets all tall and he's like, "You've been avoiding me all day. Let's go practice." I love how it's the middle of the school day and they're like, "Yeah, let's go to the gym.
Let's go to the
I've
gym
I've,
so I can work you until you puke.
I've got something I need to do right now." Dude, Haryu's definitely growing on me. He's such a good like senpai, like good second year guy.
Oh,
Kind of bust his chops. We talked about it last week, but or in week 2, I guess. Bust his chops a little bit, but like he's definitely looking out for him.
yeah, no, I absolutely love Haru. Like, in every sense. Like, he is such a good, like, not just mentor, but becoming a friend. You know what I mean? Like, the fact, like, that little game, or the game that they're playing, is speaking volumes to how Haru looks at Taki. Because he's sitting there and he's like, okay, I'm going to put Taki against someone who's actually, like, really good. You know what I mean? Someone who actually like knows their shit, who's gonna be very challenging, and someone who he played with. You know what I mean? Like, he was on Haru's sort of level. You know what I mean? He was also taught kind of by Haru. So it's like he knows that that's gonna be challenging. He's like, yo, I have full confidence that he's gonna be able to do it. You know what I mean? He's actually has a ton of faith in Taki. But not only that, but he knows how to push his buttons. Where he's like, yeah, let's put her phone number on the line. You know what I mean? Like, have fun, buddy. You know, just knows exactly
Perfect.
how to rile Taki up and to get him to play at his A game. You know, so like, dude, he's that guy who's gonna just push Taki so much farther in every aspect of his life. On the court, you know, like just playing Batman, just in his life, in his relationship with Shinizu, everything. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to be amazing. I love that guy.
It's a really good point you bring up because, like, especially in episode 3 with the whole like nickname thing,
Mhm.
Taiki's an overthinker big time. And I feel like
Yeah.
most of us can relate to that, but it's like to the point where it becomes a detriment about the way he thinks. Like he can't get out of that like headspace. And I feel
Mhm.
like Haryu is the perfect counter of like you just got to put that aside and go forward. You got to go for it. So like you're right. It's kind of all about growing and being that awkward age. Like what are you, 14, 15 in ninth grade or first year? So
Yeah.
like it's cool to see him kind of like blossom a little bit and Haryu's like the perfect example of that. But this whole episode, like thinking back on it, like Taiki's got some good friends. He has like a really good supporting cast. Like when you look back and see like the end of that episode, like
His
you've got
buddy.
yeah, you've got Haryu pushing him.
Hmm.
Hina, she's always kind of supporting him and like keeping it light with him. Hina's a good friend. And then his buddy with the glasses, who's usually like pretty fucking negative and like a typical bro who like keeps you in check and doesn't let you get delusional. he totally goes to bat for him, and he's like, yeah, he's not gonna win anything. He's just like fighting for your honor. You should take him to the aquarium. It's like,
Yo, the greatest fucking wingman ever.
yes,
Like
wingman of
Mike,
the
and
year.
like here's the thing you gotta remember: like his buddy is on his way to compete himself. Most people are in their headspace, getting ready to compete, to battle, like to win, right? Thinking of themselves, and he's like, "Hey, by the way, like no one's gonna tell you this, but they're actually fighting for your number, and it's all Haru's idea. So if you're gonna be pissed off at anybody, be pissed off at him. Don't blame Taki. It's not his idea, and Taki's fighting his ass off." For you. You know what I mean? So you don't have to give your number to that fucking weirdo. So just so you know, he's not getting anything out of this, and that's why he's working so fucking hard. And why he's being put. She even says he's like you do know you're the reason why he works so hard. Like he literally says that he's like you're the reason why you push him. She's like I don't think I do that, and like no, yeah you do. He's very stubborn. He puts his head to something, his mind to something. Like he goes all in. So the fact that like he like hyped him up that much was absolutely insane. Got our boy a date, and then literally also like helped explain to her how much she means to him, which is huge. You know what I mean? Because now like she realized like the impact she kind of has, and it's kind of like oh shit, like oh does he like me? Like, you know what I mean? It gets that kind of started. You know what I mean? Now she's thinking about that. So our boy is the absolute greatest wingman. He went completely out the bat for him and just completely set him up. I mean, he's the bro of the episode. I mean, that was absolutely insane.
Yeah, and like that was awesome. And I think I love the way he phrased it. And I'm kind of paraphrasing, but she's like, yeah, I don't think I have that much of an impact on him. And he was like, you don't understand like the influence you have on him, how big of
Yeah.
an influence you are on him. And that was like the perfect way to kind of phrase it, not in like a, romantic way, but like even just pushing himself for his goals. Like he sees you working hard. He wants to be there to do the same thing. And I think that really resonated with Shinatsu a lot more than like, yeah, he's playing hard because he thinks you're attractive or he wants to go out with you. Like it
You
was just really well
inspire
done.
him.
Yeah, and like that source of inspiration I think was more flattering than, being called beautiful or being asked on a date or whatever for her, because she recognizes that with her basketball career.
Well, she also recognizes him. We've talked about that in past episodes where like she watches him out on the court as well when they're in the morning practicing. She admires how hard he works. So then to be told that all that like admiration you have for him with how much he pushes himself, how hard he works, how determined he is, how he's not giving up, how he's so headstrong and persistent, that's because of you. You know what I mean? Like that's got to be like such a fucking compliment. Like that's got to be the most flattering thing on earth. So that was absolutely insane. And I mean, our boy, popped off because she saw a six pack. Bro got a crit hit.
Yo, that's right. He
Yup.
takes his shirt off and she got all flustered. She's like, "Oh, I guess you have been building a lot of muscle." And he's just like he was like 10 toes down that whole time. And like I kind of felt, I think they both took it the wrong way when she's like, you have your second and your third year. You don't have to like go so hard and like put everything into this one. And he was like, no, that's not good enough for me. Like I want more than that. So he didn't really get what she was saying, but she took it the wrong way, thinking he was mad at her. Like she kind of talks to her mom and was like, oh, I hope I didn't hurt his feelings. She's like, yeah, nah, he's just stubborn. But
Yeah.
like that was kind of it was funny. Like they both kind of missed the mark there because they were like flustered at the same
I don't
time.
think I interpreted that different the way Taki, got that because like he couldn't be honest about it because the reason why he couldn't, like I don't think he perceived it necessarily as oh you can fail this season, but more as I need to win the season because you're gone next season. You know what I mean? I need to win now to impress you, and then you can't tell her that. You can't tell her the reason why you need to win now is because of her. Like he knows, like that's the reason why he can't lose. You know what I mean? Because like if she was around for 2 more years, well then yeah he could if he lost a season it wouldn't be the end of the world because next season he could win, but that's not the case, and then you can't explain that because how do you tell someone who's living with you have a massive crush on that you haven't really talked to in that way to be like oh yeah by the way like I'm winning purely because of you, you know what I mean? So like that's where it creates this like kind of like miscommunication where like he can't express what he wants to say and then she misinterprets it, you know what I mean? That's how kind of I took it.
That's a really good point too, because like we touched on it a little bit about them walking home together
Mm-hmm.
after school. Like, yeah, you wouldn't, it's already an awkward situation at that age. Like, having a girl you like live with you, you wouldn't want to make that even more uncomfortable and like awkward for you both by bringing that up or like, just being too honest to a fault. So you're definitely right there. And it kind of makes me empathize with Taiki because that would be tough. You know what I mean? You want to like express your appreciation and like your admiration for Chinatsu, but you also don't want to make it like super weird and creep her out at your house. Like it's kind of a balance there. He's walking a
Yeah,
tightrope.
yeah, I absolutely agree. It's gonna be really cool, especially because we talked about in the very beginning of this that like there is gonna be so many episodes of this season, and when you look at the progression of it already, even just with badminton, you know what I mean? Like he's already getting ready for nationals. He in the doubles he already made the what's it called, the bracket. He made the top 16. He beats this kid, he's gonna be getting close to the top 16, like in that sweet 16 per se, in not just doubles or duo, I don't know what they call it, but also in just with him. You know what I mean? So he's gonna really be pushing. I guess they're gonna make it more like detailed, these matches, as they get more and more serious, more and more towards the end. But then we're also going to see more of her basketball. We haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen her really play and her push for nationals. So I feel like we're really going to start to see things really heat up too on the sports end. Because we're already kind of like getting there. It's already surprising how quick it's come. I feel like we're gonna see the last part of this game, next episode. But with the way that these episodes have been paced, I feel like we're gonna see even more on top of that. I don't think the next episode's all gonna be the match. I think it's actually like the first like 10 minutes and that's it, and then we're gonna move on to something else. So like it's insane how fast paced that both DanDaDan and Blue Box have been already. So I cannot wait to see the further progression of it all. In the first season, are we gonna see nationals already, or what?
Well, they have to go to the pre. I'll probably butcher the pronunciation. It's like the
Prefectural
pre.
qualifier.
Thank you, thank you very
Was
much.
that it though? The prefectural qualifier?
Yeah, so like I don't know like all the I forget, is there like 13 maybe prefectures, and then
Mm-hmm.
like Saitama, Yokohama, like all those places have different like districts that will compete and then to
Yeah.
represent for nationals. I think that's kind of where we'll build up to, or like we'll get to nationals, whatever happens, we'll just say they both do great and they're going to nationals, and that's where we'll cut off for season 1.
Dude, this shit makes no sense because this is the same thing in Kuriko's basketball, where they keep talking about the like prefectures and all this other shit. And I'm like, how many tournaments are there? Like, how many championships are there, man? It doesn't. I can't keep track. You know what I mean? You guys don't explain it enough.
I guess it would be a lot simpler than like American sports, because like if you're from Kyoto or whatever and you're the best badminton player in Kyoto, then you represent them against like Nara, and I can only think of like the big cities, but like those, neighboring
Yeah.
prefectures and stuff, Osaka, Tokyo. And then once you pass that stage, then you would be representing, national team Japan or whatever. Where like here you have like school districts and then like states and then nationals. Like I feel like it's like way more involved, but it's a lot bigger than Japan.
I actually think that it's way simpler here because here's the part that I'm kind of getting this kind of like messed up too, because we kind of see it also in gaming. Like with here we have one championship, right? You do like your school districts, and you go for states, and you go for like regionals, and the nationals, stuff like that. Um, but like I feel like with you see it kind of like in video games type thing, and I feel like we see it there. It's more like multiple tournaments a year. So you have the winter prefectural qualifier where it's like, okay, you can win there, but then the spring, you know what I mean? So you kind of have like multiple tournaments, and then you have the big one at the end of the year, which is kind of like the worlds or whatever, which is kind of like the big championship. But it seems like there's like seasonal tournaments that happen, and I don't know like which one it is. I feel like it's kind of like they just keep changing it up depending on the anime, and like they don't make it clear in the beginning, so like you play this like what the fuck's happening kind of match in your head.
Yeah, and like now that I think about it, like they go to an you have like art school, music schools, like there's a lot of these like focused high schools
Yeah.
in Japan. This is like an athletics focused high school, which is like normal across the world. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's like weird or whatever, but like here, you could go to like a prep school or whatever, but like Chinatsu would be like an AAU like basketball player. She's like super good. She would be like traveling the country and like exactly like you said, doing major tournaments to get like, noticed for college or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it is a little bit different, but I don't know. I kind of like the pacing. I feel like it is fast, but it's good enough that like I'm invested in like we're getting stuff fast enough, but not too fast, where
Yeah.
like you can still understand it and you're not like, well, how did that happen? We were just in episode 4. So I think it's good. I definitely like it. And it's definitely got me like, I think invested a little bit faster than if it was maybe like a slower burn with like, especially their relationship. But I'm all about the sports thing. I feel like, you have sports animes, but like the juggling of the two has been interesting, and I'm excited to see more of that.
I mean, animes like this are always like really good. Like if you guys like an anime like this, but like one it on the music end instead of the sports end, Sounds of Life, kind of like the same thing. Where you have like an
Ooh.
anime that's like very like romance heavy, but also mixed with something else, where it's just absolutely incredible when it's done like this. It just becomes just artwork. It just becomes a masterpiece. It's so good. Like Sounds of Life too. Like you have multiple couples that are progressed throughout the series, so it's like fucking amazing. Especially because you have like the different kind of like personalities. So like seeing it with like sports has been awesome. It's been really good. I've been really enjoying it, and it's kind of a nice mix because you're not getting bored, right? Because it's not like you have like the lull points or the stall points in the plateau of that progression romantically, where it's like, okay, well, now what? Now we're kind of being dragged through the episodes a little bit. It's like, no, now the sports is popping off. Right now we have the other love interest. Now we have the main interest. Now we have sports. You know what I mean? It always has stuff to constantly keep these episodes filled with stuff and constantly have that progress feeling.
No, I'm totally with you. It's like a perfect balance, and I think that's one of the things that makes it so appealing, because you're not getting inundated with like you said, romance, and then like the ups and downs of that, or like just sports and the ups and downs in training and winning and losing. It's like a perfect blend, and I'm really excited to see like what challenges they face, but at the same time how they develop, and kind of how like all the friends and the supporting cast that Taiki and Chinatsu have around them, kind of impact that too. Because like I think they've both shown, to be like a little bit emotional, or like, they're just at that age where like you overthink things, you get anxious about stupid stuff. Like, I don't know, it's cool. And like they have a good group of friends. So like I'm looking forward to see kind of how they all move forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be absolutely awesome. It's going to be one to definitely keep an eye on. Again, having 24 episodes is going to be sick. I can't wait. It
Let's
definitely deserves
go.
it. But hey,
Absolutely.
let's get into Blue Lock. Like,
All right. Blue Lock, dude.
not only talk about this episode, but also the movie. Should we get into the episode first and then the movie?
Yeah, that's cool.
Literally,
But
all
the
I
reason I
have.
actually
Get
went and watched the movie was because like I knew it'd be about Rio and Nagi, and I'm
yeah,
like, they were so focused in this episode. I'm like, fuck it, let's just go watch the movie real quick. And it
dude.
was good. Like, I gotta give Rio some respect. I thought he was like for sure not gonna make the cut. This would be like a failure for him in this episode, but my boy delivered. My boy delivered.
Yeah, and like you got to think if he just had a bit more, like it sounds insulting, on the intelligence side, like more so on Isagi's being able to see things. Like dude, you just said like you are a very well-rounded player that's maxed out at 99 per se. Like you should be able to input yourself in there and be able to make moves. The fact that he was like struggling with that is like, dude, like come on, what are you doing? You know what I mean? It's like if you're such a well-rounded player, then you should really be able to insert yourself everywhere. But he just wasn't able to figure out how to insert himself until he came out with his chameleon type playstyle, which was just fucking awesome. I mean, his
Super
awesome
cool.
like the animations of him like in the purple, it was just so cool. I love it. I honestly want to know if him and Nagi are gonna end up being friends. I feel like they are, but like, at the same time, like it just feels weird. Them being friends just feels awkward because Nagi did do him so fucking dirty.
He did do him dirty, and I feel like Nagi, especially after watching the movie, he's like focused. He gets it. Like he's kind of understanding that passion that he has inside. Like he's a very unmotivated guy prior to that, and like that really did hurt Rio's feelings because they're on different levels. Obviously, Nagi's, and like you really get that from Rio's point of view in this episode. Like, the whole notion of like ego, and like how can you complement the top 6 but also stand out so that you present yourself as like a viable option. A lot of these guys struggle with it. Oh, I can't compete with them, or Rin's too good, or Antenna Man's too, tough, like I can't get around him. And he like constantly talks about how good Nagi is, but like he's pretty good himself. It's like a lack of confidence or ego, rather than like you said, you're at 99%, like you should be able to get in there and at least compliment everybody, because he is a really good player. But yeah, I definitely don't. I wouldn't say. they're friends right now. I think he's that scorned best friend who, he did get done dirty, but at the same time, like he's chasing Nagi because he wants to be his friend and be on that level with him.
Yeah, but like
But he's
he
just
brings it up.
not
He
that
he brings it
guy.
up multiple times too, like throughout like this season, last season, that like Nagi straight up fucking ditched him. Like he fucking took Nagi when no one wanted to like interact with him. No one really cared for Nagi. He like took an interest, became his friend, didn't like necessarily try to change him. Like he was cool with Nagi being Nagi. You know what I mean? I mean, we see him like especially in the movie. It's a reminder, throughout the whole first season. Fucking, he's being carried around by Rio, literally. Like Rio's carrying him around from place to place, pretty much feeding him, giving him whatever he wants, like doing so much for him. And the first chance you get, you absolutely just turn your back on him, and you continue to do so. You know what I mean? And like they do have that kind of like he's like you just wait, like I'm gonna pass you one day, like you just wait. It's like yeah, and they have that promise, like I'll be with you at the top. You know what I mean? But it just like I don't know. It feels weird because I feel like the way that Nagi did it just didn't feel right. And like the thing about like okay, I'm gonna get flamed for this, but like I love League of Legends because I consider it like the blue lock of video games. Because like think about it, right? Everyone fucking hates it because you have toxic people, right? But people are being toxic, like angry because like the game's not going well and they're flaming their teammates because they're looking at the game from their point of view of what everyone needs to be doing to play their game of League, right? And when people aren't doing that, they get very pissed off, emotional because they have this sense of ego that they're so good and they're so smart, and they start flaming people. But that's exactly how it is in Blue Lock. You have all these strikers who are playing soccer their way. They're clashing into each other because they're not playing each other's game of soccer, and they're fucking coming at each other. You got to understand how to sit there and play off of someone's ego. You know what I mean? How to work with it, but also work against it, because the people you're facing also have egos. You know what I mean? They have some levels of aggression, where they're taking certain moves and they're being cocky and they're doing certain things. They have their own play style. Like it's so fun because there's all these paths to win, but it's ego that completely clouds the field. And to be able to like insert yourself and to manage both playing with ego and against ego, it's very difficult. And that's why a lot of people suck at League, because they don't understand that and they think it's just toxicity. But like no, that's just a dude's ego talking. Put yourself in their shoes and see what they're looking at, and you're gonna understand it a lot more. You're gonna understand where they want you to be, but you also understand how to then play off of them. Because you can tell, like, okay, this jungler is flaming me because he likes to always go for dragon. Okay, cool. Well, I know he's gonna go there. I'm gonna go play over here because I'm gonna use him as bait, make a play, and do like X, Y, and Z. It becomes this chess match of just fucking strategy, skill, and again ego, and it's so fun. So seeing Rio struggle in this game against geniuses, pretty much. You're against the highest level, you know what I mean? In a way, at Blue Lock, because of course there's professionals. But like you're against these people who are so unbelievably physically gifted, who have been playing this for so long, who are so good, and he's just having such a hard time, being able to work with their egos and to input himself in there, and being able to then figure it out and find it was awesome. You know what I mean? When he was able to sit there and to be able to connect the pieces and be like, okay, let me try this, and he ends up becoming this chameleon type play style. It was just, I loved it. I loved every bit of it. It was so cool. The animations was sick. I love how Isaki even knew that it was undeveloped and still in production, like in development. I mean, I thought it was absolutely awesome. But the one thing that I do absolutely fucking hate about the Nagi movie, about it being Nagi, is that Nagi makes no sense as a character, because if bro's too lazy to even walk, why is he so fucking jacked? Like you even see it especially in this episode. Like I guess he's been at Blue Lock, he's been lifting and stuff, but like Nagi is so unbelievably fit, and it's like, but I thought his character didn't want to do anything but play video games. Like Nagi should be fat, you know what I mean? And then
Dude, 100%.
he just
And that
turns it
first scene, he
on.
like he like leaps off the staircase and like swings around. Like, dude, I would be in a wheelchair for weeks if I did that. You know what I mean? And it's like, all
Yeah.
right, yeah, where's this athleticism come from? You're definitely right though.
Like I love Nagi as a character, but that's one aspect of his character that I just fucking hated, because it's like I get what you're trying to do, but you made him too unmotivated where it just doesn't make sense. Nagi just feels like a contradiction of a character, but like I do love him, but I like I told you, I'd rather have the movie be about ego. I feel like that'd just be better, but it was a solid movie. Seeing Nagi's point
Uh,
of view was nice.
It was cool. It was a fun movie. I liked it. I think I had a little more respect, especially after watching the episode and then going to the movie. I had a
Mm-hmm.
little more respect for Rio, like not only as a
Oh
friend
my God,
and a,
yes, yes.
and a bro, but also as a soccer player. Like he had to work way harder than a lot of people and kind of grind and figure out not just physically and on the field, but internally. And we get a lot of that in Blue Lock. Kind of like you were saying, finding your ego and like your play style, your brand of soccer. So I kind of appreciated that a little bit more, and I was glad it was them too. But yeah, petition to get this man on the storyboards. An ego movie would have been so sick, and I think it would have gave like a cool edge to Blue Lock. Like,
Yeah.
what ego went through. This is what he's looking for, and like maybe you could identify certain traits in the characters that were like desired, or this is what ego's looking for. I think he wants this from Nagi. He wants that from Isagi. He wants this from Rin. You know what I mean? And like the whole notion of like an entire team of strikers. It's not FIFA, the video game. It's like totally outlandish to think of. Like,
Mm.
I don't know. It makes for like a really good plot. Um, yeah, but I did enjoy the movie. It definitely made me respect them a little bit more.
Like the thing is, like the movie was great because it made you understand why Nagi loves Isagi so much, or respects him, or admires him, wants to
Yeah.
follow him so much, type thing. But like, if you had that same insight over Blue Lock itself, I feel like the impact of Blue Lock versus U20 just hits harder because if they lose, Blue Lock's gone. You know what I mean? So seeing the intention of why Blue Lock was created, everything that went behind it, the inspiration into it would have just been so much better. You know what I mean? Especially because we already kind of got most of like again, it was Nagi's perspective of season one. That's all it was. It wasn't even Nagi's really backstory. We already got that. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't know. If anything, if we're gonna show back like perspectives in season one, I'd rather have it be someone that we weren't a part of, like Rin. We didn't see Rin until like the middle or end of that season. You know what I mean? I'd rather see his side of it or one of the other top sixes, other than someone who played in Isagi's like faction of Blue Lock. Because there were those five chambers in Nagi, and a lot of the other ones were in Isagi's chamber. I'd rather see Rin because you can then see a bunch of other random new players and how that kind of went. I feel like that would even been better. I don't know. I feel like the movie was good, but there's so many better ideas for a movie than that.
My first thought, besides ego, because you had mentioned that, was a movie about Rin would have hit harder because of
With
the
his brother.
relationship with his
Yeah.
brother. You could kind of understand why he's so aloof and like standoffish with everybody. Like, I feel like there was a lot more content, maybe not a lot more content, but like a lot more value that could be had in a movie about him. And he's still such like a main part of the story. I feel like that probably would have hit a little harder, but I mean, so far so good. I don't really know what we're gonna get in the rest of season two per se, but like I totally forgot what you said last week. You're like, yeah, watch the end because like you'll see like a good amount of
Oh yeah, it's like don't
who's.
watch the cutscene at the end. The end
They
is
give you
yeah,
no fucking warning either. I'm
yeah,
just like sitting there watching it. It was like, oh no, but I can't
yeah.
look away. Where's the remote?
There's
Oh,
the
there he is.
roster. There's the roster. Like yeah, it's I yeah, and I mean, we can talk about it because again, if you haven't seen the movie, you would have skipped this because we weren't in the beginning. But like, I was really hoping that we would see a lot of new faces. And again, like season one had a bunch of twists and turns. You know, a bunch of things that we didn't necessarily expect. I wanted that in season two, and the fact that the roster was very predictable was such a disappointment. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah,
I wanted a lot of new faces that we really haven't seen because it's just like dude, I want it to be unpredictable like season one was, and like seeing the roster, it's just like they're gonna win the game, so the roster's the only spot for it to be unpredictable. You know?
yeah, and like I think you could have had some like shock value, like losing some of the main characters. Obviously, you're not going to lose like the mainstays, Nagi, Isagi, and all them. Like, but I don't know. It would have been cool to see like a little mix up, or maybe some new characters who come through, or something like that. But I don't know. I mean, I'm sitting here like critiquing it, but I certainly could not write a better story. So
Yeah.
I'm just
Same.
looking for like more the same drama, like you said. You want the drama and twists and turns from season one to carry over in season two. And I did get some doubts once I, kind of ran into the roster, but I'm still with it. I still think season two will have a lot of fun. And even seeing like Rio score that sick ass goal and like the whole chameleon
Oh.
animation, it's like you still get stuff like that. Like I'm not thinking moving forward, a bunch of that, and I'll be like, yo, that was so cool, or like, oh yeah, this character's awesome.
Yeah, and what was really cool about that is like it was kind of funny how he scores that goal and it's like sick, and then it was like cuts to, oh yeah, we lost.
Yeah, 5-3, we got pummeled. Yeah.
It was like, yeah,
Also,
that's game.
shout out Rin and Shindu or Shidu, however you say his name, Antenna Man. Also, just played like another game back to back and just
Oh
dominated
my
like two
god,
very
yeah.
difficult games. Like, just goes to show you how good the top two really are.
Yeah, and against two people in the top six, you know what I mean? It wasn't just against some other random team. Like you're against like two other highly skilled players that you shut down because Rio was scored one of the three goals. So really, you had two really good players only be able to score two goals against you, and then of course Rio had that disgusting goal as well. But like that's crazy. So that was, yeah, shout out to them. That was absolutely insane. But yeah, it's not even that I want like the spontaneousness of like season one. I want the cutthroat. Oh my god, this is the sports Squid Games back. That's what people were literally calling season one. Was if sports anime was like a Squid Games version where it was just ruthless and just getting rid of people and it's a onslaught. You know what I mean? And it was just like no one's safe. It was just ego and ruthlessness. Now it's not about that. Now we have people being fucking friends, and we have like very predictable. We're not getting people cut out and stuff like that, like kicked out and stuff. And it's just like they that grit that they had in the first season that made it like stand out from other sports animes. They seem like they've lost that in season two.
I'm with you. I could definitely see that complaint, and I feel like some of that is valid. And even I was gonna say, did you see Hiyori in the lineup, the blue-haired guy?
Yeah, like again, like they have everybody in there.
Yeah, even that, like they had a good friendship and a good connection, but like I still don't think they're on the same level, and they even speak to that. Nanase but Hiyori and Nanase both specify like I played to your strength, Sisagi, because we could keep up with you, but not Rin and Shidu. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so they've already admitted they're not really at that level, and it's not to take anything away from them, and I don't dislike them as characters. I think Hiyori was essential in that match. That, you know what I mean, with Isagi, he was like a total key player. It just feels like maybe some guys are hanging around, and I don't know. I guess maybe I'd have to see the rest of season two to kind of get a better vibe, but because I don't want to like critique it too hard. But I'm definitely with you. It's not as cutthroat. It doesn't feel as cutthroat, and
Yeah.
you're losing characters like you were.
It seems like when everyone's like, "Oh my god, finally an anime that's not all about friendship and the power of friendship to win." It's like, well, actually, season two is that. Season
Just
two,
wait.
yeah, you know what I mean. And that's the thing where everyone like is what everyone said season one was is now the opposite in season two is the thing. Not even that it's necessarily a bad thing, but it's not what brought everyone into the anime per se.
Yeah, nah, you're definitely right. I think it'll be interesting to see how stuff kind of plays out, how the other matches go, and kind of who steps up and who alters maybe. But yeah, I don't mean to critique it too hard, but I'm having fun with it. I like the story more so than like the soccer. You know what I mean?
I'm kind of the opposite because right now the story is too predictable. You know what I mean? And I'm just kind of enjoying the sick animations and the cool scenes. I'm like, all right, fuck yeah, this is cool type thing.
Yeah, there are a lot of cool ones. I don't know. I feel like Arsenal has just honestly devastated my love for soccer right now. It's been a brutal last couple weeks for Arsenal soccer. I'm definitely sick about it.
Damn, yeah, it's completely got you like, oh, I can't even watch Blue Lock anymore. You're fast forwarding the soccer parts.
Like, yeah, he would never score that goal. Also, I said Shidu scored that like banana split goal or whatever the fuck they called it.
Yeah.
That was a real goal. Erling Haaland for Man City scored one exactly like that, where he like kicks it with his back foot and it bounces
Oh,
and
all
goes
those
over the
names
goal.
are real. All those names I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure are actually real. All the dribbles, all the shots, all the goal. Yeah, I think they're all real.
yeah, and like they used the right names for it. I seen
Mhm.
a short on YouTube and I was like, oh my god, Erling Haaland scored that. I'm like, all right, that's
You
pretty
want to
sick.
know something sick?
Props the blue lock.
Is that like when I saw it Instagram, I saw someone on Instagram Reels who was literally teaching people how to do all that shit. He was like, "Oh, in this
That's
episode, you remember
wild.
when Bachira fucking dangled this one guy? Here's exactly how you do that. Like that one episode where Bachira comes in and he unlocks his creativity, and he comes in and he fakes the outside, and it's on his foot, and then he's like, oh, he's going over here, and then watch on his foot, he cuts back over and torches him. Like someone actually can do that in real life. They actually taught everyone how to do it, how to like bounce it up, get it on your foot, and then go to the outside and then back in, and it was like, holy shit, like that's real. Like you can do that. That's disgusting.
So sick. That's so sick. That scene with Bachira is definitely one of my favorite. just like cuts hard to the
Yo,
left, I guess. It's
let's
like ew,
let's get to
disgusting.
this real quick. I mean, we're talking about a lot of Blue Lock, about what's happening, kind of what's going to be. Let's talk about something that no one's talking about, and that's that Bachira is the honorable number 7, I guess, which means he's going to be able to play twice. I cannot wait to fucking see this guy play soccer again. That is one character that I am absolutely obsessed with. I love him. I cannot wait to see I hope they show us both matches that he's in, because watching him play is just so electrifying. The way he's just able to just dangle people, the creativity. I love him and his monster, you know what I mean? I love the dude. It's the energy about him. It's the playfulness. It's kind of like the psychoticness of him just being like the evil, like we're talking about all these geniuses in Blue Lock and in soccer. He's like the evil genius, the mad scientist, and I'm all for it. So I cannot wait for
Yes.
pretty soon to see the 2 games of him, and I hope we see them, and hope it's everything I imagine, you know what I mean?
Dude, I'm right with you. Like, I was kind of surprised and a little bit bummed we hadn't seen him yet. He hasn't really gotten any screen time and no on-field time yet. And I know it's still early, and I've been enjoying it, but I am extremely excited to see him in his matches. And yeah, hopefully we get both of them and we get a little love. You know what I mean? Let us get some Bachira time.
Oh, I'm all for it, and I really hope that's the case, because I cannot wait. That would be so sick. That'd be answer my hopes and dreams, please, Blue Lock. I beg you, please.
Absolutely.
Dude, I had to get something Bachira, man. Yo, listen, maybe I'll dye my hair like Bachira.
I'm like so jealous, dude. If I had like beautiful, gorgeous, thick hair like that, I would rock it. Or I
Oh,
remember I
anime
wanted to do
hair.
yeah, like pink hair for Halloween to be Yuji. It's
Yeah.
like, yo, my hair would fall out if I bleached it. Not on any day, any holiday. There's no way I'm bleaching my hair. I would lose it. So, little
Yeah.
jealous, little jealous.
Yeah, dude, honestly, same. I wish I could have the anime hair, but yeah, I mean, I'm loving Blue Lock. I cannot wait to see Bachira come back. I feel like he's been missing for too long. I feel like there's been too much hype and too much talk on Nagi, so I cannot wait to see more. But yo, do you wanna get into little Blue Miburo? Miburo?
Ooh, all
Dude,
right.
I gotta learn how to fucking pronounce this.
I can't
Miburo.
like.
Here's the thing. I can pronounce so many things until it comes time to record, and then all of a sudden I'm like, but the be the ba-" I'm like, dude, fucking speak.
Yeah,
It's Blue Miburo. I'm pretty sure.
yeah. I would always butcher it. I can't say anything right because I'm not truly Japanese. Like, and I remember when I went over there, people were like, "Oh, I love your accent." It's like, nah, it sounds like shit. Like, I appreciate it, but it's terrible.
They're saying it
I'm
more like
self-conscious about
they're
it.
saying it more like a childish, but like that's adorable. It's awful. It's cute. You know what I mean? Like the dog that's like
Yeah,
cute, ugly, or like ugly, cute. It's like that's like awful good. You know what I mean? It's like you're
yeah.
almost there, but yet you're so far.
It's so hard, dude. And like, I enjoy learning like language and stuff,
Hmm.
but very like Japanese and Korean have made me very self-conscious. Like being an adult and trying to write like hiragana or whatever, like hangul characters, like it's hard. It's like, yo, this is what I was like when I was like 8.
Oh,
This is
I found that
terrible.
part
My handwriting's
easy. I thought the
awful.
speaking was hard, but you have to do like an accent to do it, and I feel like I'm sounding racist if I do that. I'm like, if I feel like
Yeah,
if I
nah,
was like on
I'm with you.
stream, if I'm like on stream trying to like speak Japanese and like I have the accent, they're gonna fucking flame me and try to cancel
You're
me.
getting 100% you're getting
but
flamed,
but
bro.
you have to like say the accent to actually pronounce it. You know what I mean? But like
And a
it's
big thing with Japanese and Korean is like the inflection, like words. There's like what are they, homonyms?
mhm.
It's this two different words that literally are spoken the same, but it's how you say it that people
Yeah.
differentiate it, and like the context of the sentence. Like, yeah, I'm not there. I don't need to be that good. You know what I mean? So like, you just sound goofy in the first place, but yeah, I feel you. If you go a little too hard, if you put a little too much effort in, chat's gonna get you.
But anyways, let's just get right into Blumabero because we're so far off topic. We're already over an hour into this,
Yeah.
and we still have 2 animes to talk about. So, so Blumabero, let's just really kind of breeze through the first part and then really get to the last sentence that you apparently missed because that's going to be the most heavy hitting part. I thought that this episode was like really good, but like really kind of slow. I thought it was cool. He gets there, meets everybody, some great characters. They're like arguing and fighting, which is kind of funny. But then they start sumo wrestling. It takes this like serious to funny, childish kind of like tone. You know, really interesting. great, chemistry. But then it just starts going all over the place. I feel like it was like this roller coaster, like that, like was like very like sharp turns every 5 seconds. But like I said, it's like they're like fighting and arguing. But then it's playful sumo wrestling. Oh, but then we're gonna go to this guy who got beheaded, and it's like serious, right? And now we're on patrol, and it's like kind of chill. And then then it kind of gets serious again because he chose to save the girl, right? And then he ends up finding his sense of justice and all of this. And I feel like it was just this absolute roller coaster, which was enjoyable to watch. The episode went by fast, but it's kind of like, where are we kind of getting at here? And it was like, it was like good, but I feel like where all the attention and where all the enjoyment and the holy shit this anime is really going to come from what happened at the very last sentence, where the one guy from Blue Miburo betrayed the other guy and killed him.
Oh yeah,
And
you played me.
ready? Here's the best part. The sentence, but you got to remember, like this whole show is someone telling a story of what already happened, right? So they already know the future. So their wording's going to be important. And what they said was, this was the the Blue Miburo's first purge. So
Yeah.
it first of all, the first of multiple apparently is going to happen. We're gonna have multiple of these, but then a purge where apparently we're gonna have this like infighting. You know what I mean? We're gonna have this like rebellion. We're gonna have this like I don't know. You know what I mean? I feel like it's about to get absolutely crazy, and I feel like we need something consistent. We need something consistent in this anime to kind of focus on, work towards, work through, and I feel like this is what's gonna be it and what's gonna make it very interesting. So I'm super excited to see where we go from here.
Me too. I thought this episode was okay. I agree with you. I felt like it was all over the place, just kind of like an
Yeah.
initiation episode for Neo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he sees like the violence. He sees the guy who's beheaded and put up on the stake in front of the townspeople, and like the whole episode kind of revolves around Neo finding his sense of justice and like what does it mean to be just or a good person. And he brings it up a couple times. Is it always good people killing evil people? You know what I mean? What about good people who have to do bad things because of
Mm-hmm.
their situation? Like, it's a very real and like deep kind of commentary, I think, by Neo. I think the execution in this episode was a little all over the place. Like you said, it was funny. There's sumo wrestling, and then it's like super dark
This
and serious.
this anime is an awful slice of life. So it needs an actual story. Because if it was slice of life was like just this episode, it's too all over the place. You know what I mean?
You need some like real villains and antagonists, and like the betrayal of
Mm-hmm.
an inner guy in the whatever Blue Miburo. That's cool. I was like, all right, sick. We've got villains. We have different agendas, and then it's like, well, if you think about it, this takes place in feudal Japan. You're in Kyoto, which used to be the capital. And then like it made me think of Elusive Samurai. These guys are not all like super good, outstanding warriors of justice. Like
Mm-hmm.
these guys are hungry, warmongers who were like some of the most lethal fighters of their era or that time period at the moment. So like, yeah, it does make sense that people would be like power hungry or like, they just have bloodlust and they're out to kill. Like that sets up for me like a good antagonist faction or a good main
The
villain.
stability that the anime needs. We don't need this
Definitely.
all over the place. These sharp turns. We need that stable thing that can help the anime kind of flow. Right. So like if it was just a slice of life, it's gonna be shitty, and it could be. Let's be honest. This is the first second episode, right? We're
Yeah,
about to see the
true.
first three. This could be a bad anime, right? Just because it had like a solid start, it looks kind of cool, doesn't mean it's gonna be phenomenal. So we could end up dropping this, but it's like let's see if they can stabilize it, if they can add something into it that really kind of keeps it going, keeps it entertaining, it's interesting. Because like I said, it's the first one, and like you were talking about that time frame, it's like, dude, people are just looking to kill. You know what I mean? People are just looking to fight. People loved war because that's what they were good at. That's what they enjoyed doing. So whenever there was times of peace, that's where you have this chaos. You can kind of see it in Kenshin. There's a lot of characters in Kenshin where it's just like they're just roaming around trying to slay dojos, being like, oh, dude, swordsmanship's not what it used to be. You know what I mean?
Shout out Shishio, dude. Excellent villain. Love that guy. But yeah, like I think I'm not trying to get like too into it, because it's only the second episode, but like I think that sets us up for hopefully a good rest of the season. Because yeah, if otherwise it's just like a weird feudal slice of life, and I think it has a lot more potential than that. So hopefully, we get some cool scenes with Neo and the other guys, Hijikata and Stoji. Like Hopefully they can really have some badass fights, but also kind of like key in on this plot and like really help us focus in.
Hijikata popped off this episode. Like, the first two episodes, it was kind of the first episode was kind of him being like very like cold, very like people don't like me type thing, and like he was like Neo's like number one guy. He was like the one who was like he was like really like talkative and really like in this. You know what I mean? So I thought that that was awesome. I thought that that was great. To be honest, I really kind of just like it, just them three. You know what I mean? Unless something really starts happening to add this ability, I'm not like a fan of the Blue Miburo or whatever. Like, I just didn't find them to like I don't know. It just didn't gel yet, and I guess that's the point because we're about to have a purge. But like I can't wait to see Neo start training. You know, and again we see this
Yeah.
ability. I feel like it's gonna like seeing him get strong and actually like fight. I feel like that's gonna do a lot. I think this entire episode being about him looking for a sense of justice, like we'll see how it pays off because that could be something like more episodes down the line where it's like, oh, that was an important episode, right? But for right now, it's kind of just like, all right, I feel like a lot.
I think the events of this purge and kind of like the gruesomeness and violence that he's going to see will kind of like fortify his sense of justice and like, all right, I have to get strong and train and get like Hijikata and Soji so that I can, you know, protect my sense of justice and not end up like these guys or the
Yeah.
bad guys rather.
Yeah, I agree. So I cannot wait to see this go forward. But like again, there wasn't really anything to talk about from this episode except for that last little bit.
Yeah, it
Um,
was pretty laid back for the most part until that.
yeah, but I thought it was enjoyable. Still, I had fun watching it. So I
Yeah.
guess since we have one more to talk about, we got to kind of keep things rolling. Yakuza Fiance, definitely kind of the same thing as Blue Mibero. To be honest, where it was like kind of a cool episode, but the whole cat and dog between them was kind of getting old. I'm like, it needs a plot because if it's just them, you know, their antics, I think I'd get kind of bored of it. But the fact that at the very end, um, we saw that it's a lot messier than what we think is going to make it interesting. I don't know if you were kind of picking up on that, where like um, these two were arranged to get married, right? They're arranged where she's got to be in what Tokyo for a year, right? And we're kind of learning that it was more so from his side, like his boss, kind of helped start that, and her grandpa did. So they're kind of being used as pawns right now. And he even said he's like, "Oh yeah, well, uh, my boss is doing this to manipulate me, type, and I'm kind of letting him." You know what I mean? Right? He's playing this game with his boss, and she's just in the middle of it. But at the end, it also seems like there's something with her grandfather, where she was talking with him because he was taking care of her being sick, and he was like, I know it's a lot, but you know, take care of her for this year. And he's like, yeah, I will. Even if she calls me a stalker the whole time. He's like, well, that was our arrangement. It's like, wait, what exactly did they arrange? What is the purpose of her being there? What is he setting up? What is that grandpa? You know, what is her grandpa? What's his angle? You know what I mean? It seems like, and even the who was it, Choma? Even he caught that when he was like on his like working on his bike. He was like, wait, what's going on here? It seems like there's a lot at play between the two family bosses and the dude, I forget his name, but the psycho narcissist, masochist.
Kirishima?
Yeah, Kirishima. So it seems like there's a lot between those three and a lot more going on between this arranged marriage.
I think you're totally spot on because they come off as like kind of like light, airy characters. Like
Mm.
even Kirishima, like he says crazy shit with a smile, and like not very often have we seen him get dark or like where he's hanging his head. Like everybody, you know, comes off as like cheery. Like even when her grandpa's talking to Kirishima, like they kind of joke about it, even though they are literally talking about whatever situation's going on. And like they're Yakuza. At the end of the day, this is like literal gang feuds, and they're using their family as pawns. And I think there's like a super dark undertone that maybe through the colors and like design of the characters and the bright hair and the tattoos, I think it's easy to overlook, which is really good writing in my opinion.
Oh my
It's
god,
easy to
yes.
overlook the fact that this is like the Yakuza underworld. Like, you know, little bro Osaka is stepping up to like the big bros in Tokyo, like, cause Tokyo runs Japan for sure. So like to keep that like kind of, I don't want to say condescending because that's not really the right word, but like it comes off as formal, even though, like you said, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's definitely something going on there that, why can I not remember this fucking guy's name? The guy with the bike in Osaka?
Shoma.
Shoma.
Is it
Shoma.
Shoma or Soma? Something like that.
Shoma, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Shoma, he's a sharp dude, and like I think he knows the MC really well. Like they grew up together, they're family friends, regardless of how that played out. But like he knows something's up, and he knows something's fishy, and he knows that they don't know what it is. So he's trying to get to the bottom of it, or is gonna like I think kind of get his hand in the mix. This whole episode, while a little bit uneventful, you know, she gets sick and gets a fever, and you know Kirishima takes care of her, even though he's a fucking scumbag. But like it just felt like they were like stirring the pot the whole episode. Like the cauldron's bubbling, and like the true plot underneath what we're seeing these first couple episodes is coming to fruition soon. In the next episode or two, I think we'll get that like bombshell.
Exactly, of kind of like what this is all about, because something that keeps getting echoed is war. You know what I mean? And he even says that, Kirishima even says that, he's like, oh, well, she being used to start a war or as a deterrent? You know what I mean? Like, what is exactly going on here? Are they trying to start something? Are they trying to prevent something? Are they trying to do something to her? You know what I mean? Is this his way of trying to turn her into, kind of like groom her to be the head of the house? You know what I mean? Go down there, learn what it's like to actually like, right? Because like she's like the granddaughter of a Yakuza like head. You know what I mean? She's been kind of sheltered a decent amount of her life. She has bodyguards, but people don't fuck with her in public. You know what I mean? She's being driven everywhere. You know what I mean? So this is like a time to like toughen her up and get her ready, get her familiar kind of with all this. You know, there's so many different things that this could be, and now we're like seeing more so the plot, the whole point of this kind of behind the scenes stuff that's been going on, instead of just this between the two characters, like this inner like cat and dog type shit.
Money, bro. I think you're right on the money. I have no idea what happens. Zero clue.
Yeah,
but the fact
same.
that like she's going to Tokyo, which like Tokyo was just so much bigger than Osaka. Like you just can't really compare the two. It's like comparing New York City to like I don't know, San Diego. Like a much smaller capacity. Sending her to Tokyo, and like we've seen it maybe 3 or 4 times, like she has that Yakuza blood. She is like her grandpa.
We saw that
you know
literally
what I mean?
in that episode when he was like, "Oh, I can be a normal guy," and she's like, "Fucking pussy, you think I'm going to like that?"
Yeah. Yo, like it's so good, and I love when she gets like that. But I don't think she can maybe deny that that's a part of her. So I do think down the line that maybe is like what the story's getting at. You know, grooming her to take over the family, and maybe not run it the same way as her grandpa, or get into wars and be this like super badass mob boss chick. She can be that, and she will, but she won't initiate fights, and she'll just try and keep the peace, whatever.
Or
I
she's
think that's
being
kind of
used. You know what I mean? That's one aspect. Or she could get used to start a war or sacrificed in some way, because like we don't know really about her parents. It's her grandfather, and it's not like it's just this loving, happy grandfather. Like he didn't raise her. You know what I mean? She even said that growing
right.
up, all she was around was strangers. Like everyone she grew up with, everyone who's her family, isn't blood related. So it's not like he's like, oh, this loving grandfather that has been taking care of her since she's a child and has always been like, no, like he's a Yakuza boss. You know what I mean? Like he's still very distant with her. You know what I mean? Like he did just ship her off into like a war zone pretty much, where like things can go bad. And when she said, hey, this guy told me to sell a fucking kidney. Oh no, this guy told me to go be a prostitute. He said, suck it up. You know what I mean? He didn't pull her out of there. I'm like, oh, this sounds like it's a bad time. And like he's like, no, I'm like, you got this, deal with it. You know what I mean? So it's not like he's this endearing, nurturing person, even though he comes off very childish and very playful. I feel like there's gonna be a side of him. Here's my prediction. That's gonna be very scary and fucked up. Where it's gonna be like, yo, Grandpa's an asshole, right? And I feel like Karishima, I think is his name. Is going to actually have a side where he actually protects her. I feel like there's going to become a moment in one of these episodes where, like, oh fuck, he actually does love her, because he's going to put her above his own selfish interests and like look after her. Because I think that they're kind of, I feel like she, and more importantly, is caught up in this whole beef between them, or whatever agenda is going on, and he's like somewhat known about it, because he even said, he's like, oh, the boss is doing this to get to me or to, like, manipulate me, and he's like playing his boss, but she's the one who's kind of blind to it all, and I feel like there's going to come a moment where she's going to get caught in the crossfire, and he's going to put his neck out for her and help her.
Or like something, dude, you're cooking right now. I think you're fucking chefing it up.
I'm like this with everything though, because this is the same thing with Shion. You know what I mean? Where like I'm just always like for the, you know what? Maybe he's not just, you know, maybe there's a side of him that's redeemable.
I think maybe something will happen to Shoma. You know what I mean? He goes to stand up for her. But you definitely make a really good point. He's not like, Grandpa is not like the MC from Alya, like his, you know, like old endearing Oji-san, like,
yeah,
you know, funny cheeky grandpa. Like he's a Yakuza boss and business comes first. Like he's all business and he comes off as like kind of cheery in a way, but everything he talks about and brings up is like relevant to his lifestyle and kind of being that guy. You know what I mean? Like he talks about having a bunch of women and like, oh, Kirishima's like I was at my, you know, when I was that age, he's like I was. It really does lead me to believe he is not the guy he's portraying in these first couple episodes. I think you're 100% on the money.
Yeah, I feel like they're trapping people by making him think that he's this endearing, loving, like great grandfather who's gonna take care of his little girl type thing. It's like no, like bro has bodies in the basement, and we're gonna see that side of him at some point. You know what I mean?
Which is kind of why I'm like so intrigued by this anime. Like at first I'm like, oh, cool, like gives like 90s vibes, you know, the colors and the character design is cool. I'm like, yo, the plot is kind of sick and it's definitely like brewing.
And it's dark. It's kind of like deep and like mature. Like that's something that we've kind of noticed these past couple episodes. There's some moments.
Yeah, I'm like
maturity.
texting him like, there's a vibrator and a condom on the bed at the end. Like, just like
the best part is I haven't
like
seen the episode. Like, what the fuck is he talking about?
And dude, and it's like
you're like, yo, you literally say that, and I'm like, wait, huh? With like 5 question marks. Like, what the fuck are you talking? I haven't seen it yet. I'm like, what?
So good, dude. But like, it fits the temperature of like the show, and like you're right, it is mature and like I don't know if you well, I'm not gonna say that on here. We're gonna pivot.
We're gonna pivot.
If you never, yeah, we're gonna pivot there.
Like, I don't even know where you're going with this one, but if you think we should pivot, we should definitely pivot.
We should definitely pivot. I'll tell you after the pod. Okay. Yeah, like I'm just really excited to see because like it's got my interest and like it's cool, it's pretty, the characters are good looking and you know cool tattoos and shit. Like it's animated well, but the plot, it's cooking and I need to know what happens and I'm just really excited to see it through because like kind of just watched it on a whim and I'm like, yo, this is actually like deep, mature, it's dark. I definitely want to know what happens.
Yeah, I like that, and I actually like again. Like you talk about some of these animes and they have certain things in them where it's kind of like, it depends on how it's done. Like Yakuza Fiance has a mature sense to it, but like it works because it's a mature type style where like it's Yakuza. It's nothing's friendly, happy-go-lucky, childish about it. It's very like, oh yeah, they kill people, like they beat people up, they protection, like oh send someone down here so we can collect protection. You know what I mean? Like this is a gang in organized crime. Like they have a lot of power. They are very just powerful, destructive, dead. You know what I mean? Like it has that matureness to it. So like the way that they're portraying that and having like this mature scenes is like, oh yeah, like it fits the environment. You know what I mean? It actually like builds the story, and it's not just like weirdly done.
Yeah, and it's not like super overt and in your face. Like we got the one scene where he's hanging out with the side piece, if you will.
But that like, also explains his character. Like, yeah, these Yakuza guys, he even says, he's like, yeah, I'm going to be with a lot of women. You know, those Yakuza guys are not like, oh, let me go find wifey. You know what I mean? They're like, no, I'm going to get my girl. Yeah. She's mine. And I'm going to have, like, you know, people on the side. And, like, with this whole scene at the end of episode, 3? Like, yeah, people in Japan, they go to brothels. They, you know what I mean? Like, the brothels are a thing, you know. So someone was hiding out there. That seems like a hiding spot. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure this anime wasn't the first time someone's hit in a brothel, you know, when they're trying to escape Yakuza or something, you know what I mean? Like, it actually, like, works. It fits. It's not like they're going out of their way to add it, you know what I mean? It just creates... It makes the environment well-rounded because it's showing all of it instead of just a select bit.
I'm hyped, man. I like it. I'm glad I took a chance on it, and I'm really looking forward to the next... Yeah, it was just like, I don't know, gives like 90s vibes, like characters got good color and shit. I'm like, let's check it out. And then it's like, oh, you know, he had like the corkscrew press on the one guy's head while they're like torching him. I'm like, I'm with it. This is cool. But like the whole plot has me like really invested at this point, and I got to find out who the real scumbag is. Is it Grandpa? Is it Kirishima? Is it somebody else?
Yeah, the great part is it's so unpredictable, which is like where it's like if it can really kind of get a plot and get some movement to it and get some momentum, it's really going to be good. Because I haven't expected anything that's happened so far.
Yeah, me too. And like it's kept us on our toes, and I think that's really good. And it's just kind of a testament to like a, you know, good writing, and the author did a good job like laying out initial. The author did a good job of laying out like the initial plot, you know what I mean? Yeah. Kind of keep keep some mystery about it, build the environment, build the characters, and draw the reader in. So far, very much so in my case.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I've been absolutely loving the anime this season. It's been phenomenal. We have to find a new way to open the podcast because it's been that way for so long. Of oh my god, another amazing week. But it is. It's just been an absolutely incredible. Each episode has just been insane, and it's crazy how we haven't had one that's like taken a step back. So I'm looking forward to next week. And is there anything you want to add?
Shout out to the nurse in Miss Servant.
Oh my god, dude! I can't believe I fucking didn't see Miss Servant this week. Yeah,
I mean,
I'm gonna
honestly,
watch that.
it wasn't like a crazy episode or anything, but just watch it for the nurse. You might come down with a cough, if you will. I'm so terrible. You'll understand when you see it, though.
I'll understand what I see. We'll talk about it next episode. It'll be awesome. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you want to add in this super long episode we got going on here?
Dude, I know. I don't know. We're just having fun. It's Peaktober. I think there's so much good stuff, and like, there's never been a better time to get into anime. You can go back and watch so many really good premieres this year, but also this season. The stuff that's premiering is, really good, and I think we have covered a lot of really good stuff that isn't the heavy hitters, the Bleaches, the One Piece, My Hero. So like, dive in, pick something, and enjoy it because there's a lot to be enjoyed.
And there's like other stuff too. Like I added to my list. I saw Demon Lord 2099. I saw like a clip or two on that. That was it. That seemed like that was pretty good. Not sure. I haven't watched it, but you see some clips. ReZero is one we're not talking about. I'm watching it. Fucking incredible. Like really good. Even My Hero Academia is still going on. I'm pretty sure that's been picking up. You know what I mean? Like there's quite a bit. So I'm really excited to see kind of how the season continues to go. Winter seems like it might slow down if you're missing some animes. Oh, Shangri-La Frontier, Kenshin. There's a lot more in this season. So, like, it's one of those things where it's like, watch as much as you can. And if you can't watch it all, well, Winter seems like it might be a smidge light. Just a smidge. So, not that it's not going to have good anime. It will. But, like, you can add to your workload there. So much to watch. So good. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Hope you had a phenomenal week. Just anime's cooking. Hope you're enjoying it. And that is it. Hope you guys have a great one. And peace.